Now, the argument that he's offered tonight is, I think, let me just put it very briefly in the form of a syllogism. It's that if we have a commitment against torture, then it leads to an absolute prohibition on torture. That's the major premise. The minor premise is that we do have that commitment, and therefore the conclusion is that it's an absolute prohibition. And what that is warding off is the idea that even though we have a commitment against torture, we want our leaders to break that commitment sometimes under some circumstances. We want them to get their hands dirty on our behalf, that we want them, so to speak, to be the moral fall guy. And I think that he has argued that there is something deeply incoherent about this position. Now, I'm in a somewhat awkward position of being the official critic and commentator of a paper that in which I'm on the same side. But I realized as I was listening to David and reading the paper that I have a somewhat more pessimistic, somewhat darker view about what the content of our cultural commitments are, and I think that that's going to be the main point of my discussion, my criticism. So I'm going after the minor premise of the argument, and that is the premise that we do have a strong public commitment against torture. Now, the fact is that it's a very difficult matter to read off what a culture's commitments are. This isn't something that you can simply pull straight off of evidence. It's always a deeply interpretive project, and interpretations can be met with counter-interpretations. I think we saw this morning. The Supreme Court reversed a long-standing precedent and found that the Second Amendment to the Constitution does guarantee individual gun rights. Now, those of you who have followed the constitutional debate, I don't think there's any particular reason why anyone should delve deeply into it, but it's been a long-standing question about whether the Second Amendment really was about the need to have a militia and whether it was an expression of the American founders' commitment to not having a standing army, but rather having local militias that would carry the burden of defense, whether it was based, therefore, on fear of the government, or whether, as opponents of gun control have argued, whether it was about, instead, individual gun rights. And the fact of the matter is that the historical record, as something that requires interpretation, can support both possibilities.